Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for coming this morning. I'm here to welcome Mary Ardapple Dierker. She is a retired owner of O'Leary's Restaurant and Apple Bakery, a retired community leader, chaired the chamber in Peoria for many years, was on the Peoria County Board. She was a past NABO president, a retired sugar peddler, a current yoga instructor, an integrative wellness strategist, and lives a balanced work, community, and family life, what we all dream of, right? So welcome, Mary. Thank you for coming.
Thanks, Amanda, so much. Okay. So, we're going to give Frank a workout because Frank knows me fairly well, and you know I don't stay in one position. Right, Frank? Okay. Just wanted to make that clear. I don't care to use a microphone, and I'm assuming that you can hear me. No, you cannot.
Not really well.
Not really well.
Could you use a mic?
If you would like me to use a microphone, I will use a microphone.
Thank you.
Absolutely, sweetheart. All right.
For those that are in the back of the room, please come up and find a seat. There's 3 right here. Or if you'd like to be in the back of the pews a little bit more, there are 3 right there. Feel free to sit down. All right, okay, she must lean this wall, that's cool. Okay, we went through a little bit of housekeeping earlier. I'm hoping that if you choose to have it, you have one of my business cards. This is the only handout that I've brought you today because you came fully prepared for the conversation we're about to have. And as I said earlier, we have a tendency to throw those things away anyhow, and they'll just go in the recycling bin, hopefully. If you have not passed down your business card, pass it up to the front row because I do have some door prizes, okay? What if I were to tell you your best personal improvement tool and your best professional tool you already have, and that's your breath. The breath is the most underutilized gift that we have ever been given in this one-time, single-use body of ours. I want you to think about this for just a minute, okay? What's the first thing you do when you're born? Is that cute? And you all were the cutest babies ever. But what's the first thing we do when we're born? We take a giant inhale, right? And everybody around says, oh, there's the princess or the king for life. And you're the center of the universe for someone, which is awesome. And what's the absolute last thing we do if we're fortunate, it's peaceful, but what's the last thing we do? We take an exhale. Think about that for a moment. First thing you do is breathe, and the last thing you do is breathe. How is it that we screwed up so much in between all the years that we're on autopilot? Here's why. Because we don't have to think about it. It's a tool at your disposal. You don't have to do anything with if you choose. But when you choose to do something with your breath, your world has incredibly improved. Whether it is blending the demands of family life, community life, business life, whether you want to lose weight, whether you want to lower blood pressure, whether you want to improve happiness and joy, whether you want to let go of depression, loneliness, anxiety, and I could go on. It's all right here in you. So I couldn't bring a box in here and give you a tool. I'd like to go for just a moment. What are your go-to business tools right now? Somebody just give me a couple. What do you use?
Cell phone.
Cell phone, yep. Webinars? Favorite podcast? Daily planner. Oh my God, where would we be without a daily planner, right? Whether it's electronic or paper. What are your go-to personal care tools? How many yogis are in here? Oh man, we should have brought mats. We should be getting rid of these tables and be down on the floor. So if you think about your breath as a tool, and if you reframe it and actually become intentional, you can blend all of these elements of your daily life really great. So there is science behind all this. There are an incredible amount of books and speakers you can look up on YouTube. You go at it, have at it. But this morning, that's not what we're gonna do. Oh, come on, you guys. Get excited just a wee bit, because I want you to sit back in your chair and be comfortable. So, for those of you that are sitting forward, I'd like you to sit back. For those of you that have your hands and fingers wrapped tightly, I want you to lay them on top of your legs. And if you want, I'd like you to take your shoes off. But you don't have to, but feel free. It's a lovely carpet in here. I'm sure they vacuum and shampoo on a regular basis. For God's sake, it's a hotel. You know, I want you to really feel that. So this is a session that is all about you finding connection. How many people came today to network? How many people came to make a new connection with the hopes of it's a future sale or maybe a career advancement? How many people came today to learn something more about themselves so they can be more productive? Yeah, pretty awesome, right? Well, I want you to leave all that at the door. I don't care who you meet. I don't care where you take the information today. My encouragement today is for you to meet yourself. I want you to experience what your breath is like on your own. Now, I know that I was encouraged to use the microphone, but I'm going to lay it down because I got to have both hands for a moment. So if you really can't hear me, I can talk louder, okay?
Now, I want you to take your shoulders, and I want you to roll them up to the ears, and then drop them. Oh, you guys did that so well, but let's do it again. Roll those ears up and drop them. Yeah. Now the hands that are on your lap, just let them hang by the sides, and just go ahead and go like this. And then go ahead and lift them up, and I want you to go like this. And if any rings fly at me, I'll collect them. Don't worry. Yeah. Okay. Woo. Yeah. That got the blood going just a little bit, didn't it? I can see just by the looks on your faces of like, she's either completely nuts or that felt really, really good. And maybe you should have done it before you came in the door. But we've now left everything that you brought with you outside. And we're going to keep the doors closed so nothing comes inside to distract you. So, I want you to take those hips and slide them into the back of the chair. And then whoa. That was a big shift of energy. Then I want you to take your shoulders and I want you to straighten the shoulder blades so you can gently feel the flat of the chair. And for some body postures, you may not have done that in so long, you're like, holy cow, that stretches across the front of my chest. That's okay. Now, one last thing I want you to do. I want you to tilt that lovely pelvis of yours forward just a little bit so that lower back settled back into that chair a little bit. And now just feel it. That's you. When was the last time you sat down in your office chair? Took time to just feel being the beautiful you. Because you're rock stars. All right. Go ahead and go back to your normal posture. Stay where you're at. Doesn't matter. This is all about you. I saw some exhales. You're like, oh, glad I can let that go now. Now, I want you to put your right hand on your belly. And you're sitting down so no one, ladies and gents, see your belly, okay? And I'm not trying to segregate you in any fashion here, but I'm going to let you know in our society, as little girls, we are still encouraged to grow up sucking that belly in, aren't we? Well, that's a bum. When was the last time you laid your hand on your belly? Probably a long time ago. Now, I want you to take a breath, and I want you to press the belly against your hand. And then as you exhale, draw it back in. And feel it fill into the lower back. And then exhale again, or inhale again, press that out. And bring it back in. Now I want you to take your left hand, put it on your chest. I want you to breathe normal. Just don't even think about what I asked you to just do. I just want you to breathe normally. Where do you notice that breath? In the chest. I saw this. So, in the back of the room as well. You can take your hands off, or you can keep holding yourself and hugging yourself. That's also something, when was the last time you gave yourself a hug? I just ask these questions. No judgment. If you don't do it, it's okay, but you might try it. It's really pretty fun. So we can measure our respiration rate by sitting comfortably like that for 1 minute and find out how we're breathing and where do we breathe. That's the basis of understanding the art of your breath. See, I can't breathe for you, neither can the person sitting on the left or right or in front or behind you. Only you can do that. If you are taking kids to a school, taking them to a sporting event, sitting in an incredibly long, boring meeting, trying to crunch a deadline on a project, nobody around you, folks, knows how you breathe. But the thing is, neither do you know how you breathe if you don't learn how to breathe. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to reframe the term breathe into 3 categories. Ooh, this is going to be so much fun. Water. For me, it's red wine. For your next speaker, it would be whiskey. Only because I do know her quite well. And the last one is coffee. So we're going to take 3 breath exercises that can become go-to for you under water, red wine, or whiskey, and coffee. Now what you're going to end up going through here, kids, is kind of like a speed dating. This is not what I would recommend that you're going to say, I'm going to do it this way every day. That will screw you up. So as you start to find your breath practice that works for you, remember all self-care, all personal, all professional development tools only work for you. You can buy a book and learn what worked for somebody else. You can watch a podcast and watch somebody else do it, and that's good for them. That's not what this is all about. This time is set aside just for you, and I'm here to be your guide. So I would like you to test yourself at some point in time, and we're not going to do that right now, of breathing for 1 minute. Because frankly, in a room such as this, if I suggested to you to sit quietly for 1 minute, you would say, I can't sit. Is it not done yet? At about 20 seconds. And the anguish that would come on some people's faces of having sat quietly with themselves for 1 minute, I just can't bear to have in my day. So the average person, we typically breathe 12 to 16 times a minute. The great thing about learning a breath practice is your goal is to actually reduce your intake and exhale by half. So you're going to go down to 6 or 8 times, maybe as few as 4 as you become. That's why I asked how many yoga people were in here. The yogis that are in here, if you do a regular practice, you probably have expanded your length of inhale and exhale that you could go down to even only 4 breaths a moment, okay? For some in this room, that would be like, give me oxygen. So the other thing, not only on how long do you breathe and how do you breathe, how many think they breathe through their nose all the time? Good. How many people feel that they're pretty much a mouth breather? A couple of hands, yeah. So I want to talk about that for just a second from a health benefit approach before we go into water, red wine, and coffee. The body was designed as a miracle. So when you took your first breath, you really are a miracle. And all of our bodies came with the abilities and the same parts and pieces to be used for a reason. The mouth is designed to consume water and chewable food so that it takes it down into our body to be digested properly. The nose was designed to consume air. Why doesn't your mouth have hairy particles hanging out in it? Just think about that. That looks kind of really weird, right? Your nose has hairs in it because it's your filtration system. But we all at some point in time are breathing through our mouth because we aren't paying attention to our breath. We breathe shallow in the top of our lungs so we don't get the full length of our lungs. And we also breathe through our mouths. We all will do it. But when you breathe through your nose, you're bringing cool humidity up into those nasal passages. And the hairy fibers, those hairs that as we age need to be trimmed. Don't forget that as you get older, because that's embarrassing. It could be. I don't know. I'm not saying anything. But it's filtering out all the toxicity in our air. And let's face it, folks, if you recycle, eat a great diet, exercise regularly, you're still breathing air that has more toxicity in it than ever in mankind. Ever, ever, ever. And it's only going to continue to do that. So if you do nothing else from today, I want you to focus on breathing through your nose. The other thing, as we go into flu season, or we're dealing with COVID, and all other kinds of illnesses out there, when we breathe through our mouth, we're just taking everything that's around it and we're dumping it down into our digestive tract. You end up drying out your throat passages, so especially if you have allergies, that's going to be drier, it's going to get sore. So think through your mouth. Okay, let's go ahead and everybody stand up. Well, you don't have to put your shoes on. No, you don't have to put your shoes on. I'm not going to have you walk. I just want you to stand up. Now, good breath work starts deep down in the belly. And I know I'm not very tall, and now that you're all standing up, those in the back, you might not be able to see me, but hopefully you can hear me. I want you to place both your hands on your belly, your thumbs in your belly button. Roll those shoulders back on down. And go ahead and close your eyes. And if that makes you uncomfortable, then don't. Just cast them low down below. But if you're wearing a mask all day long, what difference is if you close your eyes? Now, I want you to visualize the bottoms of your feet if you would, folks. And I want you to lift those toes up on your feet as high as they can come, whether you have shoes on or not. And feel your legs engage and feel the belly engage. It lifts back up. Now lay those toes back down. Now take a deep breath all through the bottom of those feet and breathe it all the way up as full as you can possibly get into your chest and then sigh out your mouth. One more time. Come on, guys. Be loud. Inhale up. Great. Go ahead and sit down. Thank you. You just gave yourself a boost, a vitamin boost of the biggest amount of oxygen you probably have taken so far today in those 2 breaths. That oxygen invigorates our bloodstream. And so when we aren't feeding our body oxygen, we are also not exhaling the carbon dioxide. So should you want to not only lower anxiety, stress, all that kind of stuff, if you want to lose a little bit of weight, start breathing with intention, with purpose. When we breathe that oxygen in and that blood starts to really rolling, one, the brain comes on, so it's a productivity tool right there. But when you exhale and sigh it out just like a plunger, and I ask you to stand so you can see the visualization inside of your body, you get rid of CO2. Where does most of your CO2 come from? Carbohydrates. And you can eat those in a variety of forms. It's actually a pretty cool TED Talk. I'll put this in the notes, should you choose to open it, that talks about how long it takes to breathe off a cheeseburger. Or to breathe off this. It's really quite interesting science. But our bodies, when we don't exhale, when we only breathe up here, kids, and we don't belly breathe on the exhale, all you're doing is leaving toxicity in your digestive tract, in your bloodstream. And so when you exhale, you inhale out and you exhale back, what muscles work? Those ab muscles. And so that's why having that physical relationship with your beautiful, gifted, one-time use body, remember you only get it one time, is really beneficial. So you are kind of like doing little ab crunches all day long, but you're plunging out that CO2, that toxicity. And so you're helping your digestive tract work better. Now let's go ahead and start in on some exercises. Let's do water. I see a lot of coffee. I got coffee too, but you probably have a water bottle with you in the car, on your desk. You're telling your kids to drink water. You get told to drink water all day long, right? And as well as you should. As an integrative wellness strategist, first thing I'm going to ask you if we had a one-on-one conversation is, do you actually know how much water you drink? And I'm going to get told time and time and time again, I drink water all day long. And I'll say, really? How often do you refill your bottle? Well, I'm finishing my bottle that I bought in the morning when I leave in the day. So no, that isn't good enough. You got to drink water all day long. So water, though, is the go-to thing, right? Our body is made up of over 60% water. It requires it. Our largest organ, the skin, it needs it. Our brain needs it. Our heart needs it. Our lungs need it. So I want you to think of this breath exercise as your go-to. And we're going to do two different variations, and it really goes like this. You're going to count in, and I'll do all the counting. You guys don't have to do it. All I want you to do is keep breathing. Remember, that's the requirement, because I don't choose to want to be around when you take your last breath in this room, okay? So I want you to keep breathing. We're going to inhale at count of 4. We're going to pause at the top very lightly, and we're going to exhale at count of 4. We're going to do that 5 times. Now I want to talk about the pause, though. The pause in your breath exercises is to me, it's a real subtle caveat in here that when you pause at the top of a breath exercise, not to take the back of your tongue and glue it to the roof of your mouth. You want just a little bit of air gap. As you start working on, again, if you choose, to insert daily breath practices, you will regularly have a pause at the top. And sometimes they're longer, but sometimes you might need to breathe. And so if you have that little gap in the back of your throat, you can still take a sip of breath, okay? So in order to do this well, we need to sit back again in our chair. Hips in the back, tilt the pelvis forward. You're going to see the redundancy in this. Shoulder blades soft and down, okay? And I would encourage you to go ahead and close your eyes if you're comfortable. And if you're not, I'm okay with that. Just find a really soft spot so you're looking downward at a fixed spot. Go ahead and put that hand, the right hand on your belly, the left hand again back up on your chest. And we're going to start on an inhale. And we're going to count to 4 and then exhale. So inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Continue, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep going, 4, exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. One more time. 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go ahead and open your eyes. Take the right ear over to the right shoulder. Take the left ear over to the left shoulder. Go ahead and take a nice giant inhale and sigh it out your mouth. Oh wow, I wish I could have taped that. Just to hear the relaxation in the room as you all exhale. It's delightful. Notice what sensations may have come up inside of that exercise. Maybe you noticed a calm. Maybe you noticed the heart slowed. Maybe the jaw relaxed. Or again, maybe you noticed nothing. It's okay. Whatever it is that you notice, it's your noticing something that's going on inside of you. Again, I will remind you, in a meeting, in a deadline, around the dinner table, no one feels that other than you. So that's like water. That's your go-to breath. And we can take it one step forward to make it a business tool so that you can make it as either cozy and relaxing when you're at home or in a conversation, or you can take it to work with you prior to work and periodically through the day. And you take that 4-count breath and you turn it into a box breath. I'm going to bet everybody here understands what a box looks like. But I want you to make it a square box, and you can see the hard right angles. Yes? Anybody not be able to see a hard right box in your head? Good. You know what I'm talking about. We're going to go ahead and do that for 3 more rounds, and we're going to do the box breath. But here's what we're going to do differently this time. We're going to inhale up 4, and I want you to visualize the side. And in my mind, I'm going to ask you to come up the left side of your box, and across the top, we're going to count 4, you're going to hold, then you're going to come down the right side of your box, and then you're going to come across the bottom. In our bonus round of alternate nostril breathing, I'll explain why I wanted you to go up the left side first, but in the meantime, I want you to sit back, put those hips in the back, tilt the pelvis forward just a touch, soften the shoulders. You got the drill, you guys are doing great. Hands on the belly or chest if you want, I don't care. Close your eyes, here we go. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause, 4, 3, 2, 1. Again, inhale. Count on your own this time. Do it at your pace. One more time. And as you're finished, go ahead and take a deep inhale and sigh out your mouth whenever you're ready. When you're at work, close the door. If it starts like, I'm not having good focus today, close the door, find a little place, do the box breath, and visualize those hard right corners. Greatest productivity tool that you can use. Go to your breath. Always go to the breath. Okay, water's our go-to for a healthy lifestyle, right? Well, I don't know about you guys, but there are days that I've had in my career that I get home, I'd be at the bakery at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'd bake all day long, talk to my customers, run my business, do the book work, make the bank deposit, then go to a community meeting in the afternoon. done at night, come home, maybe get a bite to eat, and then have another dinner or another meeting at night. How many can relate to that kind of schedule? Or you've got kids, you've got your whole day around, I gotta get them on the bus, I gotta get lunches, I gotta get dinner made, I gotta get the house clean, because my husband doesn't help me, no offense. My husband doesn't help me as much on this, and then I got laundry that's gotta be folded. How often does that voice get to be about that pace in your head, right? Well, there are a lot of times, and maybe a lot is not the best term in that, but there is frequency we will rely on external measures of, finally, I have a nice time to myself, let me have a nice big glass of Malbec and put my feet up and everybody leave me alone. Nothing wrong with having a glass of Malbec or a short pour of whiskey or whatever it is, chocolate cake, whatever you want before you go to bed, if you do it infrequently. But when you do it frequently, it interrupts our sleep, it screws up our digestion, and we oftentimes wake up a little bit more irritable in the morning than we really anticipated. But because we are running on autopilot, because the same schedule is going to be that very next day, we aren't paying any attention to how we actually feel. So I want you to think about this breath exercise as your sleep aid. Putting away, not suggesting pills, not suggesting a whole bottle of red wine or 2 pours of whiskey. I want you to use your breath as a sleep aid. Though I am not going to ask you to lay down on the floor because that would just be too weird since I already asked you to take your shoes off. But I want you to use this one in mind when you go to bed. And so what we're going to do is we're going to inhale 4 again. We're going to pause at the top, and we're going to exhale 8. Now, for some folks, exhaling 8 is a long period of time. It's okay. You make it your own. But as you practice this, you're looking at your exhale to be twice as long as your inhale. And what that does is it just takes your system into slow down mode, and it's a very natural sleep time. Okay, so we're going to practice. Again, I told you it was like a speed round. So we're going to inhale. Go ahead, put those hips back in the seat. I always like it. Before long, I'm going to ask you this. You're just going to stay there. Because fewer and fewer people are putting those hips back in the seat. I'm loving it. Take those shoulders up, roll them on down. Close your eyes if you're comfortable. Hands, this time, lightly on top of your thighs. And before we do the round of breath, we're going to do it 3 times only. I want you to feel the tips of your fingers, be aware, and I want you to acknowledge your thumb, acknowledge your index finger, your middle finger, your ring finger, your little finger, and then as you take a gentle inhale, and as you exhale, let the palms of those hands nestle onto the tops of your legs. That's cozy. Okay, we're going to begin. So inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, pause. 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 Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Take a nice gentle inhale and let it out before we do the next 2 rounds. Did you feel how your belly worked at coming back in? It's like a plunger. If you did not, I want you to concentrate on that area on the next 2 rounds. This is, again, that little abdominal crunch. But what you're doing is you are getting rid of all that air down there, and you're allowing that to come back into your body. So if you're laying down, what happens? The back relaxes. You nestle into that mattress of yours even deeper, and you do it until you go to sleep, or at least a round of 10. Let's do it 2 more times, though, just so that you can kind of feel it again. Relax the skin between your eyes, and inhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. 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 And exhale. 8, 7, 6, 5, yourself that count of 4. When you're at the top, pause for a count of 3 or so. And then ease that exhale, a count of long 8, all the way out of your body. When you're done, take that lovely cleansing breath all the way up through your nose and out your mouth. All right, good job. Again, sleep aid, natural sleep aid. Glass of wine, chocolate cake before bed, at times okay, but it could be your go-to on a regular basis and just drift off into a nice night's sleep. Now the last one we're going to go through on this threesome is your coffee breath. No, not on how your breath smells after you drink coffee, but I want it to be your go-to. Many of us, whether it's a caffeinated, carbonated beverage in the morning or a cup of coffee, it's a stimulant, right? Using the breath as a stimulant is also a very positive tool, especially for productivity and especially for athletic performance and especially to curb cravings. Because the breath that we're going to go through is it's all an abdominal exhale. It's all about the exhale. So what have I been talking about? The inhale is great for us because we get oxygen, but the true health benefit, in my opinion, is how you manage and master the control over your out breath, because you're dispelling all of this toxicity. So there are 2 forms that you could do this in. We're going to do in the less, I think the better one for a group. It would be the lion's breath, where you take out your tongue and stick it out and look up at the sky and really roar and really get going. And that's kind of might be a little creepy to some people in this room. I think watching you might be a little creepy for me in this room. So we're going to do it in a different way. We're going to do the breath fire, which is all about the abdominal exhale. So what you do is you take a nice easy inhale. And I am going to have you put your hands back on your belly when you do this. And you can stand or sit when you do this, doesn't matter. But we're going to do it like this, and I'll demonstrate first. I'm going to take a nice easy inhale, and then I'm going to just exhale. So you can see that it's all that belly is going in and out. We'll do it slow. But as you go through this, if you were to do it at an exhale, a pulsing rate of about 20 times per breath, if you do it the first thing in the morning to prepare yourself to go to work, if you do it before you're going to exercise, it is a stimulant. It will get that blood going. And if you're like me and you like to have a cookie around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but you've already had them every other day this week, and maybe today's the day you shouldn't, this is a breath to go to help stop that natural tendency for that pick-me-up in the middle of the afternoon. And especially in our work day, don't always kind of get that sleepy thing in the middle of the afternoon. This is the breath you do that. So either stand or sit. You don't have to do what your neighbor does. Doesn't matter to me. But we're going to practice this just a couple of times. So again, thumbs in your belly button. And the reason I do that is because it takes your elbows to the outside of the top of your hips. So you're not here. So if you have them here, see how your wings just kind of relax. And then here you go. You can flutter those 4 fingers down there. So let's inhale and exhale. Some of you are saying, I haven't got anything else to get out of it. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? You actually do. That's the remarkable thing about our breath system. There's actually,
On the exhale, are you supposed to be doing that through your nose or your mouth?
I'm doing it through my nose. That's a really good question. I'm doing it through my nose. You can do it through your mouth, but in this case, I'm using my nose. And here's the thing about all breath practices. You can, as Rachel just asked a really great question, as you're learning these breath practices, it's important for you to be aware of what sensations come up in your body. Because that's where the rightness is. It's not like I have to do it the way Mary did it or the way this did it. You're looking for that breath practice that brings your body an open awareness that it wants more of that. And that fuel is around all the time. It's not in a refrigerator, it's not in a cupboard, it's not in a briefcase, it's not in a desk drawer. Your body already is automatically breathing. It's how are you choosing to utilize it? Good question. Let's do that one more time. All right, here you go. Exhale. Go ahead and take a breath, guys. Now here, that was like a speed round of breath practices. You would never do that in that way. You could really goof up your system. That's the other thing. Water breath, it's your go-to. It's your relaxation. It's your calm. It's your centering. Or you can take that and turn it into a productivity tool with the box breathing. But again, the even count of 4. It's your water, your go-to. Your sleep aid. We know more and more in medical science that quality sleep is one of the aspects of a really long-term healthy lifestyle. So if you take what you would look up as sinking breath or any kind of time that you're breathing, you're exhaling twice the amount of your inhale, that's going to be your sleep aid. Whatever works for you, you know? Just lay down in bed, do 10 rounds of it, or do it until you go to sleep. But in that particular application, I suggest doing 10 rounds. The breath of fire, like we just did, I suggest that you only do it 3 times a day, and I would only do it maybe 3 or 4 times a week. I wouldn't do it every day. If you do that particular breath too much, you actually can increase your anxiety. You can really goof up your digestion in that particular one because it's a pretty intense thing, okay? So that's the 3 primary areas for your art of breath, and I hope that you've gained a little bit of a new awareness around how you breathe. How does it feel? We're gonna do one bonus round though, and this one is my fave, and it's the alternate nasal breath. And this is the reason there is a box of Kleenex up here, and I'm going to lay it over here. Should you need a Kleenex when you leave, help yourself. Alternate nasal breath is a real interesting conversation available to you with you. We do not breathe out of each nostril simultaneously all the time. The body actually is set up, it alternates. We can intentionally take a breath through both nostrils, but depending on what our brain is doing, one side will work more than the other side. Pretty awesome, actually. Your left nostril is your feminine side. It stimulates the right side of your brain. The right nostril is your masculine side and stimulates the left side of your brain. Now, let's face it, gang. We know our brain's in a conjumble a lot of times. Again, with competing influences in our lives. So anytime we can have the breath turn on actively one side of the brain and the other, it's going to help bring clarity, blended balance, because I think life is supposed to be out of balance. I think balance that's another word that we should debunk. I don't think humans are supposed to be in balance. But blending balancing influences, and then performance. So whatever you want in your life, this is what we're going to do. I want you to think about that. I want you to have some clear message in your mind for this last practice of an affirmation of today or a goal. What is something you really want to focus on today? Okay? Then you're going to take your left hand and place it on your left thigh. And depending where your feet are, I'd encourage you to slide the ankles underneath your knees So it's a nice, soft, uncross them, whatever. And then you're going to take your right hand, and you can do it two ways. We always are going to start, I'm going to say, I will always, I'm not telling you you have to, you can experiment on this. If you're doing alternate nasal breath in the morning, it's a preparation because you're softening and awakening into the day. If you're going into a meeting and you're feeling a little stressed, I recommend you start on your right side because it will be a more stimulant and you'll be more focused on that. So there is meaning on either side. But for this practice, we're going to start on our left side. So here you got your right hand. We're going to take our right thumb and we're going to close our right nostril. Now you get to choose whether you want to take these two fingers and place them on your third eye. If you're a yogi person, you're going to place it probably on your third eye. Or you can roll them under. Whatever your hand is more comfortable with. My hand is not comfortable like that. I like to have it up on my forehead. And this is what we're going to do. I'm going to show you. We're going to inhale through the left nostril. And then we're going to take the right finger and close it and exhale out the right. Inhale through that right. Really deep. Take the thumb, close it. Blow it out your left nostril. And again, inhale through your left. Close it. Release the thumb. And exhale out. Go ahead and take that cleansing breath in. Side up. That particular breath, and if you're like me, my sinuses on my right side are a little gooey right now. We're going into this pollen season. My nose will run a little bit more. Take deep breaths when you do that. Get it all the way up into your sinus cavities and see what happens with your brain. Ladies and gents, I appreciate the time that you've taken to spend with me today. I hope that you had some kind of movement in your body and sensation, a gentleness that existed in your body that you can take with you now. I hope that with all the oxygen you now have breathed in, as you go back to your goals and coming to this wonderful, wonderful conference, you're better prepared and you're ready to roll. Now, I have 4 door prizes. Did anybody not give me a business card that wished to have a business card up here? Anna? All right. So, as an integrative wellness strategist, I believe in journaling. Whatever it may be, it's going to have 2 journals here. And so, will you just go ahead and take something out of there for me? Thank you, Caitlin. Heather Fitzinko. Thank you. So come up and get it when you're done. And then I also like good rest. So eye pillows. How many people use an eye pillow? Not enough of you, that's for sure. If you don't ever use an eye pillow, I'd actually recommend that you put one in your office desk. When you close the door and you just need to take a moment, and you can sit back in the chair and put a weighted something on your eyes. When you remove the sight from your environment and go to a breath practice, it's absolutely awesome. Now I'm going to go ahead and pick this one out because some folks didn't have business cards, and those that use paper, I don't want you to feel that you're left out. So this one is Valerie Ferguson. Okay, Valerie, you're up here. One more. Amanda, you want to pick one out of there? One piece of paper. Ann Dierker. I don't know that that's fair.
You can say it. You can put that back in and let somebody else have.
I'll pick. That's my sister-in-law. How about Jeanette Wilson? Okay, you have a journal there, and one more here. Ashley Shriek. You have an eye pillow. So folks, thank you for spending time with me today. Are there any comments or questions that you may have? stop me after this. I don't want to hold you back from you owning your greatness at this wonderful pathway of time. Thanks a lot.